Welcome back to I Pick Passion. I'm your host, Erica Bates, and today we have an incredibly inspiring guest joining us, comedian, actor, and storyteller Chase Anthony. Chase's journey is one of resilience, humor, and heart. Growing up in Atlanta as the only boy with four sisters, he faced a challenging upbringing, but comedy became his outlet and a tool for survival. In this episode, we'll dive into Chase's story, how he turned life's challenges into a thriving career in comedy and acting, his philosophy of let's talk about it, and the freedom that comes from open communication. We'll also discuss his mission to inspire others with shared experiences and the wisdom behind his belief, learn not to give up, you'll be happier. Get ready for a conversation filled with laughter, insight, and inspiration. Let's jump in. So I do like to start with an icebreaker, okay? And
Okay.
it's a game. It's a game called Hella Awkward. It's so fun. I love it. And it's 4 different categories, and you tell me which category. I ask you the question, and you answer it. Okay. All right. So relationship, sex, real talk, and dating.
Relationship, sex, real talk, and dating. Let's go real talk.
Okay.
I know I got kind of curious about that one.
I like that one too.
Let's see. I was gonna go sex, but I feel like that's like an easy place to go
Yeah.
because it's so opinion based or work and exposure. I guess
all of them are good. All of them are good, honestly. So I mean, yeah. But we can do real talk because I like real talk. Okay, so what was your spiritual background as a child, and how does it impact your life today?
My spiritual background as a child is the classic Southern Baptist church upbringing. You know, my grandma was a colorful person, which means that she had colorful hat. And we went to a big church, which means that, yes, I've been to church camp. So that my experience was very much entrenched in, you know, the church and faith and making sure that my spirituality was intact as a Black man in Atlanta, Georgia. But it was me and my grandma's kind of thing. And so it was, I would say I definitely had a solid foundation. I think she incentivized me to eat afterwards. So, you know, I was good with that. And then how it helps me now is being in this industry. If you're not grounded in your faith, then you're gonna waver on a lot of things, as well as you're gonna panic in a lot of moments. So, you know, faith ain't convenient. That is one thing that I've noticed, but it's right on time. And so, and I have seen that, and I have tested it time and time over again. And some people would be like, "Oh, you're a manifestor generator," but I don't know. My relationship with God would let me know that He got His hand in it too. You know, so yeah, no, I say my spirituality is very much intact. And I'm blessed that it is because, again, this industry will poking pride at that. Literally.
Amen. Well, I'm glad you have a strong foundation because I do believe that is the key to everything. No matter what you do and where you are, that is the key. Like if you don't have that, like if you don't have that faith, and that yeah, you know. So, but it's funny you said Baptist. I think we probably all like. I grew up the same exact way, like traditional, like church Baptist, like you know. So that's amazing. That's what's up. Okay, so we're gonna get started with. Okay, in the beginning. So you shared that growing up in Atlanta and leaning on comedy helped you through a difficult upbringing. So I have a 2-part question. So who was young Chase? And can you talk about how comedy became your outlet and what role it played in helping you cope?
Young Chase was very active. My mom would call it a social butterfly in some senses. Some would say like, "Oh, you with it, right?" Like, I think growing up with 4 sisters can put you on one side or the other, you know, especially again being in a single parent household with a single mom. I think it will either make you the man of the house or you'll just be one of the girls, you know what I'm saying? And I think you're making up what your idea or identity is when it comes to man of the house. And that made me already just more aggressive. And it doesn't help that my mom is also with it. You know, my mom's from Boston, so she's just like that chick. Like, if you ever in a situation you like this, yeah, man. So I got into it with some dudes, and then then me and my chick jumped them or beat them up. My mom's like that chick that you're describing. Like, nah, like it's gang, like it's what's happening. And she's the leader of her pack, and she has sisters, so she kind of picked up more of the brotherly role than the sisterly role, trying to protect her sisters because people was active back then. So Young Chase was built different, but I will say, within that, talking about my grandma's influence when it came to church, my grandma was also trying to make me bigger, faster, stronger. So Young Chase, she was everything that she thought was wrong with men, she was fixing with me. Everything that she thought black men should be walking around equipped with and having knowledge of, she was putting it in me. And you're sitting there like, as a child, you don't understand it. As an adult, I very much appreciate it. But as a child, you're like this, wait, I got to do 2 book reports? And she's like, yeah, you got to do 2 book reports. I'm like, well, make that make sense because everybody else got to do 1. And she was like, well, they're teaching you about George Washington, but they're not going to teach you about George Washington Carver. And I was like, yeah, but like, I got to do more work. And she was like, you're always going to have to do more work. Again, first lesson, black man. You're always going to have to do more work. And then ain't nothing worse than a lazy nigga. You know what I'm saying? And, it's different when you're hearing this from just like your regular grandma. But like my grandma went to Harvard. She worked for the city of Atlanta. She's very much dialed into the political elements, but also the neighborhood. She in the trenches, you know what I'm saying? So she with it. She's also from Boston, so she's just fearful. So when I say bigger, faster, stronger, she's like, nah, fam, like you gonna be bigger, faster, stronger. And you wonder how that stuff is going to translate as an adult. But when you're getting all this knowledge, you're comfortable talking to adults, and she's making sure that she's awakening your interest in hustling and building and growth and development. And she'll do stuff like, oh, okay, cool. Well, she'll see with me, right? Because if you ever wonder why you end up being somebody's favorite, it's like there's little things. She said my little thing was, I went to go hand out free samples because she was doing her part for, I guess, one of the campaigns that she was working on. But she's worked with Andrew Young all the way, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody. So she was like, nah. So we was out in one of those little shopping strips, and I was like, all right, cool. You gonna hand out some free samples on this side. I'm gonna hand out some on this side, and then we're gonna meet in the middle. And I'm like, all right, bet. So she said, I going in and out of businesses. And I see you get to the third one, you kind of stop. So like, instantly I'm like, what's going on? So I see it's a barbershop. So I walk in there and I'm like, are you done handing out the free samples? And I was like, what free samples? Right. I'm like 4 or 5. And she was like, what do you mean? And they was like, all right, man, you have a good one. And she said, we walked outside and she was like, you handed out all your free samples in there, but you were supposed to hand them out when you went. I said, well, you can give yours away. She said that I had a pocket full of money. She said, well, they say free on it. I said, not if you turn it this way. And she says, from that day on, I realized that you have a different spirit about you. And so she just kind of cultivated that. How that translates into now is, I think that somebody has to give you permission to dream. And I think the only way that I could be anywhere that I am now is taking that permission slip and kind of running with it or utilizing it, which is hard to do because naturally you want to conform. But she gave me a great permission slip and made sure I had a solid foundation. So like, you can't tell me about all these great men that came before me and preach my greatness and me not strive for it or at least attempt it. You know what I'm saying? And thankfully there's been some good attempts. There's been definitely some failed attempts. I've been fired from a lot of jobs. Not that I wasn't equipped to do the job. It's just, you probably should be on stage telling jokes. You don't want to be.
Yeah. That's always the truth teller right there. That's maybe this just is not it. I get it. I definitely understand. But your grandma sounds amazing. She sounds really amazing.
Oh, she definitely was. Yeah. She definitely
was amazing.
Oh, she passed last year, and then after that, again being out here, I guess I'm grateful to have a an eclectic and diverse friend group. And so I got invited to do ayahuasca. And ended up having a great
Okay.
conversation with my grandma,
Wait.
which I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, she gone, but not, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that I do
Yeah.
because of my grandma, you know what I'm saying? Golf being the main one that translates again to today. But you start at 5 and you're the only black person there, you and your sister, y'all excelling, what does that look like 30 years later, 40 years later? You are equipped with a whole bunch of different things in game that you wasn't
Mm.
expected to have. And grandma used to put me on game, as well as, again, she stood on business when it came to ain't nothing worse than a lazy nigga, and nothing worse than a lazy nigga is a sorry nigga. And I was like, I am for, these are very like I get it, but I don't know how this is
You're the only boy with 5 sisters, as you said. How
for.
did growing up in that dynamic shape who you are today as a person and as a performer?
Man, let me tell you, growing up with a whole bunch of women, I think will make or break you. Will make or break you. It ain't for the weak or weary. Um, I think I get that reflection and honesty. In therapy, have had like a couple of black female therapist. That's what it's almost like, right? You are in a house and you are consistently in real educational experiment, and they are trying to really find out the makeup of the man, right? And again, I'm on one side learning to be built bigger, faster, stronger. But when you are a little boy, there's a lot of stuff that I think the honesty will really propel you into manhood, because they'll say stuff like, nigga, you stink," and you like, "Well, good morning, good morning to you, good morning." But when you're a little boy, you kind of are a little dirtbag, and I didn't know until they start really kind of highlighting it, like, you know, a woman, clean your nails. A woman ain't gonna like no dude with a dirty nails. Like, what kind of shoes you got on? A chick ain't gonna want to talk to no dude with no dusty, dirty shoes. And he's like, these my play shoes. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, play like you don't have them on and go get some other stuff so we can go somewhere, because you can't go anywhere with me looking like that. And you just like, and that is like, again, defeated because, or defeating, should I say, because you have to examine your whole outfit, but you're examining it as you're taking it off and changing it into something that now you probably do deem a little bit more appropriate, or you think that they, but at first you thought you was about to stun on them. You know what I'm saying? You hear stuff like, damn boy, you done went nose blind. And you like, I don't even know. Or you smell like you want to be alone. And you like, huh. So where you talk about where it excels you, man, your personal hygiene is up to par, right? I am OCD. Like, I will shower, I will be clean. Might not put on lotion yet, but I will be, just everything will be aesthetically. So I know how to cook, I know how to clean, I know how to wash, I know how to do all those things, because they will talk bad to you. And your mom will sit there, and that is the funniest shit that I've heard all day. You like, I need you to clock in at any point. They like, nah, remember, we're trying to make you bigger, faster, stronger. You can't stink on the way. Yeah, but that was hurtful. I share a room with her, and technically she stink too, but I guess I'm worse. And it was like, far worse. And your clothes are far worse. Like, that's why you got to wash your own clothes. And I was 'cause I was active. Like, I'm an active little boy. Like, I play all kinds of sports. I was into everything. So from playing baseball to jumping off roofs, we gonna do it. It's and so how does that help me these days when it comes to comedy? I think is being aware that the world is bigger than you. I think that sometimes you can go one way as far as being spoiled. So I'm thankful that I did go stay with my stepdad. But I think that it's benefited me in so many ways, because you have to, one, know your audience, which I think that you can lose sight of because you're just trying to express yourself and it's my truth. And it's like, yeah, but there's also the truth, right? And that's where women live. Like, ugh, you smell like you want to be alone. You got to be aware of those things. But I think that it also too gives you so much more information to have a little bit more, I'll say, like pivotability. You know what I'm saying? Where you have the information and the knowledge to talk about the things that you're talking about. You have the backing to know it, and you know how to, when you have multiple sisters, everybody ain't the same. So now you're seeing that in the interactions with women, especially. But then the one thing that I love about our women is our women are loyal to a fault, and if they fuck with you, then they fuck with you. So if they support you, then they're gonna support you, which means that there has to be a certain level of um reciprocation, right? I respect you if you get me. If you just up there talking some shit, then you lost me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and real recognize real. So I can recognize the realness in these stories because you have a lot of information to go from.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that's definitely helped me. At times, not in relationship, but we ain't talked about that. That wasn't the question. The question was comedy and
You
what,
know, I was just
yeah,
getting ready to
listen.
say, I was just going to say that loyalty to a fault part, like you kind of triggered me. I was like, ooh, I was like,
Mhm.
I felt that deep. I felt that deep. Yeah, because yeah. I'm definitely
It's
loyal, but I have admittedly to a fault sometimes.
well, but it's. I think that sometimes we are loyal to a fault, and I think that we are loyal still to some of our ideologies, right? And I think that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's where the punishment comes from. Because Aunt said something very interesting to me the other day, which I was like, damn, just it's kind of early in the day. I didn't really want to go this deep. But she said that some of our ideologies and some of our way of thinking about things, we never really went back and kind of recalibrated or reassessed when we originally made that thought. That could have been 13, that could have been 12, 16, 21, and we still living off of that mindset like that was truth, and it might not have been true, or it might not have had enough information to really make that assessment for it to be set in stone like that. And so
Yeah,
that's what I've been learning more and more. And so again, yeah, it was deep for the time of day that I thought it was. I was like, damn, okay. Ooh, just
I
took
love
me
it. I
for
love
the
it.
loop.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So, you live by the saying, let's talk about it. Okay.
Mhm.
And believe freedom comes from expressing what's in your heart. How has that guided your journey, both personally and in your career as a comedian and an actor?
I think the let's talk about it phrase has been able to ground things a little bit more in the truth. I think on and off the stage. I think the let's talk about it, the energy behind it, because I don't think that I think it can definitely sway in a negative direction. But I think it's more so of like, well, let's talk about it. I don't think that I'm right in everything. But I don't think that I'm wrong on the things that I'm wrong about. I do try to be very receptive to, I think the truth is somewhere in between there. And if we want to just bend on the truth versus my truth, I think that it at least gives room for a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like it is certain things, especially in our age bracket, haven't been talked about and should be talked about. Um, uh, a lot of things we've experienced and seen, we still don't talk about as adults. And we know now as adults, like, cool, even with our parents, like, y'all was working off the information y'all had. It still is wrong. It
Okay.
still ain't right. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
and same thing with some of my siblings, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you repeating the same mistakes? It's like, well,
Yeah.
this is what I know. And it's like, well, let's talk about what you know and why you know it, right? Let's talk about why you're okay staying this way. And let's talk about the reality of like the false veil of it all, of like the expectations, the false expectations. Like, let's talk about how fake and false that really is. I get what you're saying, and I strive towards the same thing, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't talk about that I think that we should, and sometimes that will bear grapefruit, and then sometimes people aren't ready to talk about certain things, and their life kind of reflects that they're not willing to. But I don't know. I think that by talking about stuff, it sheds light, perspective, which I think perspective sometimes will allow grace. And I think that that conversation is really all the seeds that you need to plant for people not to take stuff personal, for you to have growth, for hopefully people around you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think that I've also grown to a place where, I'm very real. I'm very real and grounded with the idea I need to be around people that are comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. Other than that, then I'm going to stay the same. And that ain't something that I want to do.
Amen to everything you just said.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you said that you strive to be an example of those who share similar experiences, showing them that they are not alone. Can you share more about how that mission has influenced your work and the impact you hope to have on your audience?
Yeah. I think my reasoning for doing comedy started off one way, and I think that it definitely uh propelled me in a different direction, in the sense of, I think we've all been through certain things. Some of us will wear our struggle a little differently. Some of us, we can see it, a little, it's a little bit more apparent, I will say. I've been in a place where I've been fortunate enough to not necessarily have the mindset to wear my struggle. So a lot of people will never assume my experiences until you do have a platform where you can share them. And so because I do comedy, it is a platform to share those things. Most people won't know that I am the child of an addict. I am the child of an absentee father, but I have had a stepdad that stepped up, that also dealt with his own demons, leaving me on my own since I was 15. A lot of people won't look at me and see that, or think that that is part of my experience. But the one thing that I didn't know, and I was fortunate enough to see, well, I was forced. I won't say forced. I think encouraged, we'll say, for the sake of who it was. But when traveling with Sinbad, it was such a great experience that I know that my story is supposed to have these chapters, right? Just like they were supposed to have the chapters before, or else I think that I wouldn't be built for what I'm embarked on. But he forced me to talk about the real, which forced me to talk about it on stage. And I think when you are the child of an addict, like you'll really isolate yourself. As much as you feel like your siblings are sharing that experience with you, we all are watching the same movie and walk away with something different. But once you really get out of those confines, you really feel like the eyes is on just you, and that nobody else is experiencing any of this stuff. And then you go to a couple of meetings, and then you start seeing, like, damn, there's other people out here going far worse, which gives you a different perspective. But a lot of people are still suffering in silence. And the first time that I was able to talk about it on stage, again, not forcibly, but more encouraged, was Sinbad. He encouraged it, and then after the show, a chick comes up and she's crying, like, man, I thought I was the only one. In my head, I'm, whoa, this is a lot for me. I told you, sometimes my aunt start conversations too. At first, I'm doing comedy, but I wasn't used to having fans, and then I wasn't used to necessarily triggering that kind of emotional response. But it's like, oh, okay, cool. Because you was talking about something different, right? And you didn't find the funny yet. Now therapy, all this, that you found funny, and you up there joking about it, but it's freeing. So now you start talking about it a little bit more. You're like, oh, snap, everybody kind of doesn't experience this and going through this shit. And so now you start having the meeting outside the meeting, which I think if you're going to have some of the tools, and I think be blessed to have bet on yourself and see things manifest in a way where you are in front of people, then talk about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, share it, because you never know who you freeing, and that is why they're there. As much as comedians want to we are looked at, and some of us are looked at as cool and all this. In the grand scheme of things, you're a very intellectual gesture. You still are here for the entertainment value. Hopefully you do wise enough to see that with this mic you can really say something, and you have the tools to say some shit in a way where people can digest it a little bit easier, or not feel as I don't I won't say it's insecure, because I think that it is very valid in what it is, but judged, at least, and I thought for sure, that was one of the things that I think deterred me from sometimes even being in a relationship, because you still got to meet the boss, right? And if I feel like it's not clear huxtable, then how do I feel about myself? And then how is that going to present to a woman that I'm asking, like, hey, well, marrying to me? They like, your mama Mike Tyson. Like, yeah, well, she older Mike Tyson. You can just see her fight. Like, she's good. She's not going to throw too many punches.
That's hilarious. Okay, so on your IG, you share the quote, learn not to give a fuck. You'll be
They made
happier.
me change that. They made me change that.
They did.
They made me.
You hadn't
They made
even
me
looked at
change
your.
it.
You
Yeah.
just changed it not long ago,
Oh
right?
yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, they did. I literally just changed it because they called me one day, and I was up for a certain. It wasn't a role, but it was to be a presenter at something that is a little bit more commercial, I'll say. And my
Okay.
agent was like, uh, hey, so I need you to change that quote. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, soon as they get to your page, it says, learn to not give a fuck and you'll be happier. She was like, it's right in your face. I said, yeah, but you changing it kind of defeats the purpose of me putting it there. Like, it's a contradiction to what I'm saying. I don't give a fuck. You give a fuck. And she was like, yeah, but you give a fuck because it affects your money. I said, so I will take it down. And I definitely changed it. And she was like, just put the regular information. You are always the one. I said, because I don't. As much as I want to enjoy my journey, I know that's what's for me is for me. And it
Amen.
took me a long time to accept that and embrace that. Not that I wanted other people's blessings, but there were roles that I wanted. And so, yeah, I had to learn to not give a fuck so I can be happier. Like, and they was like, yeah, but you don't need to say that to the world. It's okay to live by it. And I was like, oh my God. So I changed it. I don't even know
So
if
do
I
you
still
want
got
to? Do
the,
you want to
the
take that
role.
question out? Do you want to take that part out?
Uh,
Do
oh,
you want
no,
to?
you can leave that.
Oh, okay,
No, you
okay,
can
okay,
leave it in
okay.
there. Because
Because I was going
I
to ask you.
still live by it. It
I
just
was
ain't
going
as
to ask you,
visible.
how did you reach that mindset? How did you reach that mindset, and how does it play into the way you approach life and your career? That's what I was going to ask you.
Oh, no, I got you. So learn to not give a fuck and you'll be happier. It gave such freedom in a place where freedom doesn't necessarily exist, right? Um, the Black experience can be a lot. The Black experience can be a tumultuous one. If perspective isn't gained, right? Because life can be hard on you, and we are already hard on ourselves. We already are expected to again be bigger, faster, stronger. Um, Putting yourself or submerging yourself in this industry really highlighted and exposed that in ways that I didn't know. I felt it in sport, right? Because, it's always a pecking order. It's all these things that go into you being the best. You being the best at your position, let alone trying to be the best on the team, to lead a team somewhere, all those different things. But auditioning is it's such a mind fuck, right? Because you are building up to be this character, but you're still driving yourself there and driving yourself home. And depending on how that audition went, how you felt, stage, there's good nights and bad nights. You know what I'm saying? And how are you digesting and assessing all this stuff? And it was for at the beginning because you want to be validated, but I think that there was also, you find out in therapy, there was also a form of acceptance that you, and because you felt abandoned in your younger years, this can highlight this if you're putting yourself on the outskirts where you feel like you're not booking, you're not doing this, you don't feel like you're in the in crowd, you don't feel like you're really participating. And you need that validation, especially if you're stepping away from anything, because I was a former accountant. So when I stopped doing that, everybody was like, fuck you talking about? You sound stupid. You're not happy. Money doesn't make you happy. I don't, can you talk to him? Cause I don't know. That was my family's reaction. Like, yo, can you talk to him? Cause he sounds fucking wild. It was like, yeah, but I stopped. I'm not listening now. Rap music isn't influencing me in the same way. My environment necessarily isn't influencing my spirit in the same way. My spirit now is kind of jumping out there, which sometimes again, somebody let somebody give you a permission slip. You don't feel, you almost go the opposite direction. You don't feel entitled to be led by that. You know what I'm saying? But you'll take entitlement to doing this other stuff because somebody told you to do it, and now you're doing some shit that don't make you happy, but because that's a formula, you got to do it. So developing that mindset, it took a while. It sometimes still, has its challenges. But there was a couple people who kind of gave me perfect examples of how to go about it, right? One of them actually was Michael B. Jordan. I don't know if it was an article or interview that I was watching, and he was kind of walking you through the audition process for himself. Right now, again, he's been acting since we were all young. You know what I'm saying? Let alone his youth, and we all have an idea of our career and what we want to happen, not knowing what things we need or what things didn't need us. Like, cool. But he said it. He was like, nah, this shit was whooping my ass to the point where, like, I had to develop a formula. So after every audition, I rip up the side. Cool. And another person broke it down, Jay Phillips, where he was really breaking down the idea or the ideology of the audition is really the win. Now, Chase, you might be in a different place because of some of your experiences, and he walked me through the whole thing because I was upset one time going through, like, especially in the beginning stage of the process, you're ignorant, so you don't know. So I'm outside a comedy club, and I had just moved a trip, right? And because I got put on a veil, and a veil is when you get put on hold for something that you audition for. And he walked me through. And again, I'm outside. I'm getting released from the veil outside the comedy club. He happens to be standing out there. Now Jay has been working, and so he's breaking it down. He was like, "Young, I'm gonna explain something to you, and you really gonna have to figure out what success is to you." He says, "Because to me, what you just experienced was success that majority of that club will never experience, and you need to really, really digest that." And I'm like, huh? And he breaks it down. He was like, do you know how many people go in for an audition? He said, now, do you know how many of those people who keep auditioning have never gotten a call back? He said, now, do you take how many people have gotten a call back who have never been put on a veil or on hold of anything? He says, and what a veil and being put on hold is really a casting director going to the client saying, hey, I'm willing to bet my career on these two people you pick. Now, you might not know everything that went into it, but that sounds like a win to me. That's everybody you need to be looking at you has looked at you, and now they're making decisions that have nothing to do with your acting because that's why you got put on the veil. Wow. And I was like, damn. So, I mean, in turn, that made me more curious to see, like, oh, okay, cool. Well, what is the conversation on the other side? So then that's when I was volunteering, like, yo, can I come in and either be a reader or a camera operator? So then I can learn. Now you hearing the conversations and you see it ain't got shit to do with anything that you was driving home thinking about. Nothing. Not even close. It was a hype thing. Wow. And you didn't even think it was a hype thing. You didn't think anything about that. You thought it was your acting. It was like, nah. So just with the cameras and then the wife that we want to pair with or the kids or, oh shit, did we think about this? And I've experienced all those things now, right? So now you can't even second guess them. I didn't see how you swapped it out in the Slim Jim buggy commercial because I was taller than the other actor. So now you got to be comfortable because you thought that the win was in the lines, but more people hit you up about the reaction. But at first, when you was tripping, you're like, damn, he took my lines, bro. And that's what you've been waiting for, right? But you taller than him. And again, why he can't have the lines, bro? Why you got to be you a part of an ensemble regardless. None of this shit work unless the camera guy really does his job. So you a part of an ensemble regardless of whatever it is. And that the PAs really ain't here, that the shit ain't clean. Like, so you a part of a process. So be comfortable being a part of the process and let the process change. But in your head, you like, nah, I need to be this. I need to be this. And then learn my biggest lesson with all of that I went in for this Steph Curry commercial. Thankful in so many ways because the blessing was booking it. I will say, but at first going through the process was a little tumultuous, like in my mind, right? I don't think that I'd probably put that out there, but in my mind, because I flew back, I was doing comedy with Sinbad, I flew back early. I get picked up and I go straight to my audition. Cool. Or it's the callback. And I'm like, all right, bet. So in the callback, I'm going and again, I don't look like Steph Curry. I don't like Erica, you can look at me right now. I don't look like Steph Curry. Anybody looks at my page, like you'll be like, oh, he's black. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And again, I played football in college. Like, so you're not necessarily this basketball savant that just didn't make it. You know, you got that story. Like, that's just not your story, right? So there's two major elements of like, how did you get there to warrant to think that this was supposed to be yours, right? So I go in there to the callback. I have fun in the callback. And I'm having fun. So that was also the thing. I have fun. And before I walk out, they're like, oh man, that was great. Would you mind reading as the coach? And now you got that duality of like, no, I don't mind reading as a coach. And like, man, I didn't come in here to be the coach. Right? Wow. So then you go out, you learn your lines, and you go in there, you do your stuff with the coach. Then you get in the car because I think my girl at the time picked me up. And I was just like, yeah. She was like, well, how did it go? And I was like, oh man, I flew back and they asked me to be the coach and all this. She's like, oh, that's a win to this. We go out to dinner or go eat and I go drop my luggage off, all that stuff. Get the call. Like, congratulations, you booked it. And I was like, oh, dope. Steph Curry, she's like, no, you booked it as coach, right? Here's where the lessons start. At that night, I will say I let go of it. Like, oh man, this is dope. Yada, yada. Like, it don't change the pay, nothing. Right? So now you're just thinking about the hype thing, the lines, all these different things. It don't change shit. So you get there, there's kids in the commercial, Erica. We sit there and again, you are a black woman, I am a black man, so I think that you get this and I think most people will get it, but I know your black listeners will really get this part. Our hair is very important. So absolutely. When we sit down, they was like, okay, so we're just going, kind of shape this up. Now I'm sitting here. I'm sitting in one spot. The guy is sitting to my right. All the kids that are about to be in the commercial are also doing their fitting. So they're sitting there. They shave a bowl cut in this man's head and tell him they're going to finish the rest on set. And when I'm talking about like, it ain't no taper, it ain't no blending, it ain't no nothing. It's just a bowl cut around his head. Instantly, me and the kids are like, what the fuck? I personally hope you're getting paid more than that, right? If they just did this. So then we all go home from the fitting. Erica, that was one part of the lesson. Here's the blessing and the lesson. And if you don't get it now, brother, then you're not going to. We go film and we sit down in those chairs. I'm getting my makeup done. And they like, hey, we really don't have to do much. We like your skin. I'm getting the compliments. And now I'm like feeling myself like, oh yeah, dude, what role you playing? I'm playing the coach, yada, yada, right? So I'm taking the compliments and I'm good, right? My guy is right next to me. So I'm like, okay, bet. So they trying to clean up his hair and all this, and I'm hoping and praying that like they give him something that is like comparable. Sometimes that Supercuts energy will go in there. They ask him, okay, are you ready? Steph Curry got some weird eyebrows, Erica, listeners. Do you know they shaved off half of this man's eyebrows? Half of his eyebrows, Erica and listeners. I'm sorry, you can pay me a lot, but you're not taking my eyebrow.
No.
Especially, I got to get on and off stage. Half of my eyebrows. Instantly, at that moment, I knew God just saved you. God just saved you because you would have blew this up as soon as they asked about your eyebrows. You could take my mustache, you could take my chin hair, you could take my goatee, you could take all that. My eyebrows are something that I have to function after this with.
Yeah.
Even my hair, boom, I'll shave my head. But my eyebrows, Erica, instantly I knew, God knew, hey, bruh, I just saved you, if anything. I just saved you because you would have wilded out. As soon as you started seeing, first of all, you would have slapped the clippers out the lady hand. As soon as she started coming towards you like this, wait a minute, what you doing? I would have slapped the shit out of her hand. It would have felt aggressive, right? Now it's early in the morning, this older white woman, you just slapped her hand on set, right? And you already got a flag on the play.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you don't want to shave your eyebrows, right? So now you done amplified everything because you slapped the white lady and you don't want to shave your eyebrows. So now you're not compliant. Word on the street is you're hard to work with. And I was like, what? And I am having an anxiety attack for this man. And then the kids walk in, right? And again, kids don't care. So as soon as they see, they was like, what the hell? So they mess up your hair and your eyebrows? Sir, where's your mother? Where's your mother? He didn't even know what to say. When I got off set, and then this is also the other part, right? So they played the commercial during the NBA, doing all this stuff. The next year, COVID happens. What does Steph Curry not want to be associated with? A fucking flu commercial. It was a flu commercial. So we ran it for that year. Gucci, we got paid, cool. But then they was gonna re-up it and run it again, right? Bigger checks. Hello, who don't want that? Hopefully my man's eyebrows grew back, right? But now this check might be worth the eyebrows. They pulled it because right as the contract was about to renew, boom, COVID.
Oh my
I was like, yo, if
God.
I would have lost my eyebrows, my hair, my energy, my self-esteem, just a lot. I don't know if I don't even know the amount of money for an eyebrow, let alone two.
Right? No, that
And
is
when I got
wow.
my paycheck, I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't eyebrow money. I'm gonna be
Oh my
honest with you, it wasn't
God.
eyebrow money. Bigger, they could have took
Well,
some
thank
eyebrows.
God. Well, thank
Yeah,
God it
bigger.
didn't, thank God it worked out the way that it did then. Like,
What?
that's crazy.
But learn to not give a fuck, and you'll be happier, right? Take your blessings and keep it pushing. Learn to not give a fuck. I wanted to give so many fucks, and there were so many places where it was like, man, bro, you shouldn't even give a fuck about this. You shouldn't even give a fuck about this. You shouldn't even give a fuck about this. You give too many fucks, your eyebrows is gone, and you're going to be pissed on the back end that you ain't got no eyebrows, and they canceled the commercial. I love that you wiped your
They go
eyebrows.
back.
Listeners, y'all can't see Erica wiping her eyebrows. She done touched both her eyebrows since we started this part of the conversation just to make sure that they are still there. They are still there.
I just got them done yesterday, man.
Listen, they look good. I see you. But if she took
Yeah.
one of your eyebrows, you'll still be there. Like, listen, hey, we gotta have
Still
to
be
cancel
there.
we're gonna cancel the podcast today. Yeah, I'm sitting over here trying to work something out. And no, we're
Yeah,
not gonna
no,
do nothing visual. We're not gonna do nothing visual.
they do nothing visual. I'm out. Hilarious. And that goes back to that faith too. Like what you was talking about at the beginning, that being your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
That goes back to that. Because if you didn't have that, then what?
Yeah.
So
You
got to
you want
believe that
what's
it's
for
gonna
you.
work out the way it's supposed to.
Hello.
Absolutely.
That's the message for the ages.
I love it. I'm here for it. Okay. Don't get me started up in here. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
don't lose your eyebrows. That's the message. That's the moral of today's podcast, guys. Don't lose your eyebrows, okay?
Don't lose your eyebrows. Matter of fact, you know what? To be honest, that actually might be the title of this episode.
Don't lose your eyebrows. Because I'm telling you,
I love it.
that's a powerful message. And the
It
visual is
is.
crazy. I might have to make that a shirt. Don't
Yes,
lose your
I
eyebrows.
love it. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Don't do it. I love it. Okay. All right. So you talked about using comedy to communicate the hard thing. How do you balance being vulnerable on stage while still making people laugh? And why is that balance important to you?
I think the reason why the balance is very important to me of being transparent as I possibly can be and finding the comedy is I think as a child it took me a while to find that that comfort because I felt like I was always hiding something. Like once you are aware that your parents are dealing with an addiction, which I feel like is very common. Once I started educating myself on it, and there's so many forms, but I think it starts to shrink things around you as far as you feel like you got this big secret that you don't want people to find out. Again, I'm not sure your age range, and we're not going to discuss that on this podcast, but we grew up potentially in an era where those were the jokes. And when those are the jokes and then that is your experience, it kind of starts shrinking the space around you. You start functioning a little differently or acting differently in order to necessarily appease what you feel like is that outside layer. And then the biggest thing of why I made sure that I incorporated it in comedy after kind of working through almost shrinking yourself to fit into other people's spaces, I think I got to see how freeing it has been for, the people that have come before me. And like, I love comedy. So I've seen how people have been able to really talk about their truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I felt what it was like to go up there and kind of tell jokes for laughs versus to tell them for truth. And the truth was always funnier, but I felt better about it, which was, I think, sometimes the most rewarding part that I didn't know was going to come from comedy, right? When they'd be like, oh, it's like a form of therapy. It really does end up translating into therapy. You know what I'm saying? Because you might have just went through this again, being on the road with Uncle Dad Sinbad. He made sure that he pushed me to a place of, nah, let's talk about something that you just talked to me about and that you don't want to talk about. And if you could find the funny in that, then that's what comedy is. And it built a pattern where it no longer was what I was doing in LA as far as just like, oh, I need to be funny right now. I need to be the last because you never know who's in the room and da-da-da. This could be your moment. To nah, if you don't do this way, you're kind of doing it wrong. And why do it if you're gonna do it wrong? And so then it started to spill into we've all been in relationships to where now you like, wait a minute, I can go up here and talk about this. Let's get everybody's opinion. Oh, I was wrong. Wow, you all think that I was wrong. What did you think about this? Oh, I'm still wrong. Oh, okay, right. Or see, that's that I don't feel bad now about the way that I was thinking or how I derived to this opinion, or this conclusion. And everybody agrees that I wasn't. And so I think that became a formula that now I can't undo. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm so adamant about like, nah, like go up here, talk your shit. Like go up here and talk about the L in this, talk about the lesson. Now see if anybody else has thought the same dumb shit that you've been thinking. Or has anybody ever tried to talk their girl into this or had to apologize for this or had to, has a relationship failed because of this? Have you got fired because of this? You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much freedom in the truth for you and everybody. And I think it's a better experience. So like go up here and the hard part was getting fired, bro.
Yeah.
You did that. You did all the work you needed to get fired. Talking about it, if you're honest with yourself, go. Like, oh, that was a job. I stole from that job all the time. So of course, why wouldn't they fire me when they found out? Or I was late all the time. Of course they gonna fire me. Or yeah, your boss wanted to sleep with you and you was like, you're not my type. Of course you're gonna fire you. Like whatever the case is, you should go over here and talk about this. Or you made a mistake and slept with the boss and now it's a toxic work environment because y'all shouldn't have did that shit. Go up here and talk about this shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that, again, bring the human element back into it. Like, other than that, like, congratulations, you are funny and you're fly. And that's all we took from this. Kevin Hart will let you know, like, nah, you go up here and talk about some shit. Richard Pryor let you know, you go up here and talk about some shit. Eddie Murphy go up here and let you know, hey, you come up here and talk about some shit. Guess what? They gonna remember it forever. Why? Because they went home and lived with that same shit. Well, yeah, and then go, because they're gonna talk about something that now is gonna live forever because everybody's experiencing it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna go home to that experience. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go over your friend house to that experience. You're gonna talk to your other friend. They had that experience.
True.
So cool. It is weird sometimes though. So you'll be that transparent and be like, people come up to at the show and be like this. My mama did drugs too. You like this? Hey, hey, nice to meet you. Did our moms do drugs together? Like what happened? Like you like like yeah. It's an interesting interaction. Same thing though with cat sweaters and shit like that. Like I had a joke about dating somebody with a cat, and then everybody's trying to after the show be like this. Do you really feel that way about cats? Well, all cat people aren't like that. Like you got on a cat sweater, you're the cat person I'm talking to. You're exactly that person. Like so it feeds for a better interaction for everybody if you being honest, which is very scary in the grand. I know I'm presenting it as
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it's the easiest thing to do. It's like this, yeah, until they're there in front of you. When you write that shit down, that's why we lie in relationships because we got a whole speech. Like I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And then you get in there and you're like, this including tears. I didn't really account for tears. Ooh, or this aggression. Is that a knife? I don't know. I don't think I should tell her the truth today. And maybe ask you a question and now you're a bold-faced liar because you lied about some stuff. It was just like, nah, well, we was having a good day. I didn't really want to, we was going to go see Transformers afterwards. And I wanted to see Transformers, so I didn't think that was a good day to tell you. Of course I crashed your mom's car. Or yes, I got fired. Or yes, that was me cheating. Like, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. That seems to be a thing, and this is not relating to, but especially I noticed that with it, I've been hearing these conversations like more about like men, especially when it comes to it's like, oh, am I protecting her or am I protecting the situation by like not telling the truth? But to me, you're making it worse if you don't, at least for me. Because for me, I'm like, tell me the truth. Like I can appreciate it. I can respect the truth, but I cannot ever respect a lie. You know what I mean?
Right. So, but this is,
Even omission.
but and my mom is said the same thing. And your theory is very right. The one thing that I
Mm-hmm.
always add is I feel like the circumstances are too high sometimes for that to be the blanket statement, right? So if you have a family and you have built these things and you have made this decision that essentially does affect the whole relationship, I can see why you wouldn't want to necessarily blow up or amplify the situation because the potential for ending is very high, right? And that wasn't necessarily the reason why you made that decision, right? Because you still made the decision. So there are consequences and all that stuff that come along with it. But we've seen more things end than not. And so that's what will deter guys from especially telling the truth. Because it's funny to see that a lot of guys would love telling the truth because when it comes to your homies, like y'all kind of live in that space, like, and we hear it differently. Same thing with what I was saying about my sisters saying stuff earlier. I could tell my homeboy like, nigga, your breast thing, bro, that outfit, yeah, bro. Now we leaving you here. You keep on wearing this bullshit. Like we express things differently and in a different way, so we're not ignorant or we don't lack muscle memory in telling the truth, but we are ignorant when it comes sometimes to the feelings that are involved in the truth
Mm-hmm.
because it is going to elicit a response and a lot of us aren't built for the response because we don't know, like we don't operate in emotions like that. You see it because that's why you see niggas break stuff. They're not used to talking it out, talking to themselves, sometimes counting down or whatever the fuck is going to calm you down. Like that's just not our muscle memory. We're built to endure the shit until we can't. And emotions is the place that we can't because we're not built that way. It's not routine. So a lot of us are built to tell the truth. It's just not, in those circumstances, it's never favorable for the hypothesis that we've come up with what the potential outcome could be. Of like, oh, okay, cool, I tell her the truth and now I'll lose everything.
Mm. That's sad. I know it's sad because it just makes me feel like, you know, um, that you don't feel like you have a safe space to be, you know, and maybe with some women that is the case. I don't know, but it makes me sad that that a man would feel as though he can't be, you know, like he can't be honest and we have a conversation or whatever the case may be and move past it, or like to feel like, you know, oh, it's going to become this, like you made it up in your mind that, oh, it's going to be this way. And it's just sad. It just makes me
Well,
feel sad.
can I ask you this?
What?
Do you feel like culturally our women, specifically talking about sex, right? Do you think that our women have created a safe environment for us to talk about? Or I'll say culturally, do you think that we've created a safe environment? And then I'll get specific to, do you think that women have? And the only reason why I say it like that is because being raised by a single mom, she will pour into me everything that she thinks a man is, but only a man can give me everything that a man is. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. It almost just seems like a trickle down effect of how certain things I think we're built different in some senses, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
And a lot of it, I think, it comes with what we saw growing up and all that stuff too.
Mhm.
And no, and as far as, you know, do I feel like we have? No, honestly, I don't. But that's what saddens me, is that as women or our people, as a culture, we haven't really created those safe spaces for each other as we should. And I think a lot of times, which this is a whole nother conversation, Lord, we done went.
Mhm. I know.
But but it's a conversation to be had though, and I think that's why a lot of our men, which I'm not excusing it, but a lot of our men don't, or they feel like with us, our women, their women, that they can't be, you know, like they go elsewhere. They go looking
Mhm.
elsewhere because they don't feel like they do have a safe space with us. And that's just all a part of what saddens me. And even with when it comes to our men, like a lot of our women too, you know, we looking elsewhere too because
Mhm.
the dating pool is like this, you know, like as far as prospects of it feels that way. Now I'm not saying
Right.
they're not good men or available men, emotionally available men and all of that, but I just feel like, you know, you feel like your prospects are low. And so you look elsewhere because you feel like there's
Mhm.
not really where are the good ones at, you know?
And
So
I will say I think that sometimes it is us being patient enough and aware of
mhm.
everything that we're up against, right? Because I do think that I think that men and women are holding hands when it comes to the disconnect when it comes to that, right? And the reason why I say that is having four sisters, I would be lying and remiss, and I think that it would be a very negligent statement to say that our black men make our women feel safe and secure, right? And I think me being educated on what was going on around me, right? I'm programmed differently. So there's just certain things that don't pop in my mind. So when it comes to women's safety, there's certain things and protocols that are just routine, right? Whether it be holding the door, walking on the outside, just any of those small things, but they also escalate to like, I'm not in a position to try to dominate you, especially physically or any of those things. And I think that our men are lack awareness when it comes to the black woman's experience in feeling safe, right? Which I think that goes hand in hand. How can I make you feel safe if I've never felt safety? You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like, and so I think that's that different element. And I think Sinbad's wife also offered me a different perspective when it came to just that dynamic is, you know, that is and culturally for us in that household, that's the oppressed talking to the oppressor, right? So it's hard for you to work around to make the oppressor feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I think that was some of that conversation that James Baldwin and Angela Davis were having, where it was like, nah, but you possess these tools because you use them in all these other places, and I think we both do. And then how we
Yeah.
take them out on each other is what I think. And I've just had this conversation is false expectations of what should be there, not
Yeah.
the reality of what's been extracted, the false sense of expectations that we're willing to place on a place that we really just don't have the receipts for. So when it comes to a black household, how long have we been in position to have the black household? You know what I'm saying? Like if redlining stopped 1965, 1963,
Mm-hmm.
1965, 1963. Don't quote me on the dates, but I know it's close. Um, then how can you have a black household and black structure if you can't have the home, right? And if our great grandparents or grandparents were slaves or just out of slavery, then it's hard for us to have all these false expectations of what we think this other person is supposed to be equipped with, provide. Just know, you know what I'm saying? And then when you start thinking about the elements of like, all right, cool, let's just use the 70s and 80s. Cool. Now you put drugs into the element. Let's extract the black man out of the household. So now nobody feels safe. So how do you create a safe environment when I've never seen it? I've never but we'll put those expectations. I've put those expectations in places that I didn't necessarily readily see the example for, and I've tried to buy into the expectations that were supposed to be on me, and it's like, well, we both just made some shit up. Okay, we just made this shit up. We kind of winging it, and we should be okay with that. But so I know our conversation definitely took a little bit of a turn.
Yeah, it definitely took like but I love it. I'm
Yeah.
here for it. This is definitely a conversation to be had. But yeah, so you've had success in both acting and stand-up. Is there a difference in how you approach each, and how do you feel more at home in one of these spaces, or those spaces, one of those spaces? Or do you say, is it one that you feel more at home in, and how do you approach each?
I think that I will say I'm grateful in different ways for both. So that I think that's what initially will change my approach towards acting and comedy. Because I know comedy is more instant gratification. It is more like golf. It is, you're playing as an individual. Like they're watching other golfers on this channel, but you're playing as an individual. And I feel like it's a little bit more tangible, right? With acting, I enjoy it in a different way and approach it differently because I'm becoming someone else, which can be fun to play as someone else, right? You don't have the same responsibility or the same things when you get to be someone else, right? You're putting on someone else's clothes. It's a totally different vibe. They move and operate, act, react differently than you would. And that is its own fun in itself, right? And I think because I've done improv, it amplifies it because now I am a good listener. Now I do want to see where this goes. I think that I'm anticipating your reactions, or I could just let them be what they're gonna be. And so I think that comedy will give you that in one way, and acting amplifies it in another way because now the lighting, but I think that it also translates different because you're watching the final production differently. So I think it's harder sometimes for me to watch my comedy than it is my acting because I'm curious about how everybody else played a role in telling this story versus sometimes just hearing myself do comedy. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh, okay, cool. I like that you did this and this laugh, but you're listening and watching for different things. So I think the approach, in sense, sparks different things. And I think becoming a different person definitely will bring you to a totally different place with it. And when it comes to which one I think I find a home with, I'll say that one's a home and the other one is more of an Airbnb. Right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be comfortable there. You're going to be cool. It's going to change, based on the environment and all those things. Like, it might have a pool. It might not have a pool. You might have nosy neighbor. You might not, That's going to whether, you enjoy the people that you're around, whether you're to whether the weather of the environment, start to play into the elements, So,
Yeah.
and then you find a home because you really have to ground yourself, I think, and have some form of a foundation doing comedy. You know what I'm saying? Because it is just you. Like, so you got to go up there and you're essentially building this house in front of people. And shit, I guess their clap will, or lack thereof, will blow your house down, Uh, so yeah, nah, but I do like I will say sometimes with comedy, I do like the instant gratification of like, oh, okay, either this went very good, this went okay, this went very bad, or we should have saved this outfit for another day.
I love it. And I echo everything you said about improv because I do improv too. So, and that was why I was like, yeah, yeah.
And
I
that's
love it.
such a great tool to have in life.
Is it? I mean, it shapes you in so many ways. Like I could just that's a whole nother conversation too.
Man.
But okay, so when you look back at your work, what do you hope they take away? What do you hope people take away from what you poured into your audience?
I hope that they take away that anything is possible. I don't think that, okay. Uh, I hope that they take away that one, that anything is possible and that he had fun, right? He found a way to have fun. We can tell from his comedy that his perspective, um, well, his experiences don't necessarily impact his current reality. They just help lay a foundation. But I hope that they can see like, oh, okay, cool. Buddy had fun. You know what I'm saying? Like for him to go through all this shit, like the LeBron
Yeah,
James effect. Like, yeah, bet you go through all this shit and then ta-da! If you don't quit, shit, Buddy didn't quit. You know what I'm saying? And shit, I don't know if I would have said the same or did the same. You know what I'm saying? So shit, that's just a little piece of encouragement. Now let me go try some shit. I hope that it encourages in that way. It's like I don't know. I'm always um interested in that question because I see how I feel now, but I can only imagine what Morgan Freeman's response is. But I can see also too with all this times that I haven't had fun because I took myself or everything too serious. And so I hope
mm.
that once I got past that, it reflects in my work. They're like, oh, okay, cool,
Mm.
buddy, have fun.
I love it. Okay, so real quick, so I have okay. So if you could go back and give yourself your younger self one piece of advice, especially during the tough times, what would it be?
Love yourself across the board in the sense of, I think that we can justify at certain times doing certain things. And I will say that I wish I would have loved myself a lot more because I think I would have moved a little differently when it came to just a lot of things. Um, the first thing that popped in my head is just relationship, right? I think that sometimes we'll go for certain relationships based on how we feel about ourselves, or we'll go from relationship to relationship because of how we feel about ourselves. And so whether it be in relationships that are intimate or ones that aren't. I think that that is the one thing that I will say is really coach myself on knowing that I'm lovable so I know how to give love. Because I think some of that stuff kind of it hardened me in ways where it just didn't really expose love in certain ways. So it didn't in turn make me think that it existed in the way that I know that it
Mm,
does. And then what that can translate to, right? I think that translated into whether it be schoolwork, how you carry yourself, how you cook, how you clean, everything. I think all that stuff is a form of love. And
yeah,
then how you're of service, you know what I'm saying? Which I think is also again a form of love. So yeah, no,
that's
I
true.
would say that, yeah.
Okay, so where can everybody find you, and what are you working on?
At Chase Comedy, You can find me on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram and all social media, chasecomedy.com or chaseanthony.com. They'll bring you to the same place. You can definitely find me there. I mean, the things that I'm working on as we wrap up this fourth quarter are really just tying up loose ends. I will say the things that I have coming up, of course, always look to be updated on comedy shows. But with some of the writing stuff, all those things is more top of the year. And but wrapping up things, I will say, so I also have a clothing line, ghettogeniusclub.com is where you can find all the merch. Been excited about the
Mm-hmm.
growth that we've been experiencing over the last couple years. So been enjoying that journey. So just really just getting organized with everything. Like, so that's what you can see. You can
Yeah.
see funny stuff online, and then you can see me vent about organizing online. Yeah, just I say tap in and just see me vent about certain things or the things that make me go, you know, because I feel like now I've been more enjoying the process of expressing those things online because I don't know, I've been enjoying the process a lot more. So why not engage?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you should. They should absolutely engage. Like y'all, check my boy out. It's a good
Mhm.
time. It's a good
Yes, yes,
time.
yes.
Even your workout journey. I'd be like looking at you. I'd be tripping.
Oh my
But you be
God,
getting it in. But you be getting it
man,
in. You motivate me because I be like, Erica, you should
Eric,
do better. I got to
Erica,
do
I
better.
love donut. Erica, I love donuts. I love cakes. I
Me.
love all the little snacks. And so that's why you see that in there. The results will vary based on what I did that weekend. Okay. So I'm happy that I can, but I'm really motivated by the snacks. I'm like this, bro, you could do this and this. Bet, say less. I'll go work out. Fuck it. Look how amazing this is gonna be on
Yes.
Saturday.
And I love me some donuts. You talking about donuts? Like, don't get me started. I've been a bread eater
Man,
since I was a kid. But the funny
me too.
thing is, people they like, Erica, you don't even look like because I don't look like I eat, but I love donuts and bread. I don't. It just doesn't. I'm my mom's child, and so
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't show, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't
Yeah.
work out like I should, but like I was told recently, they were like, Erica, you could fool somebody because you look like you do work out consistently, and I was like, but I don't.
Those
So
thank
I
you,
guess
genetic.
I'm just.
Trust me. Same here. They be like this,
Hey
oh,
man,
you
that's
work
what I'm
out.
going to say. God bless my
Listen, the only reason why I work out, and I'll say this before we wrap up, the only reason why I work out, well, two reasons. One, I don't want to be the
children.
nigga with the shaky arm. Like this girl, I like him, but he can't even keep himself up.
Right?
And then the other one is the first season of Bigger. I remember the first day they was like, all right, cool, we're gonna do this next scene with your shirt off. And I'm like, so when are we doing that? And it was like today. And it was like, can my stand in do this? Because he is in shape. But I had a comedy body. I had been touring and telling jokes. So like I've been eating
Yeah.
late and doing all that. He was like, yeah, take your shirt off. And I was like, I never want to feel like that again. Second season, I came down there like this, put my shirt on. Oh, so this scene? Well, I was just thinking that we just shouldn't have a shirt for the whole season. No? Okay, good. I put my shirt on. You sure? Can I like bust it open? Oh, but yeah,
Bigger was so good. Bigger was so good, by the way.
I
Yeah.
I love that show.
That's a
But
dope
again, everything ends. Friends went off. Not that I'm comparing myself to Friends, because the paychecks are
Yeah.
different. But nah, it was actually a
Yeah.
good show that I think that culturally I think that we needed and benefited from. A lot of people loved that show.
Oh, yeah. It was dope. I loved it. But anyway, hon, I don't want to keep you no longer. I appreciate you. This was so
Always.
good.
Yeah, this was
Thank you for
fun.
your time.
Let me know
Yeah,
when
it
I'm doing it
was.
again.